You are watching Pausing with Erik. We pause for a second or two. How do we keep life coherent when so much is changing? This is episode 279. Good question. Today we are back with our core skill, pause. Our core skill. Pausing is at the foundation of everything we do here. And it is the centering point we always come back to. No matter what kind of situation we find ourselves in, we pause for a second or two. The image for core skill pause is the well-known pause sign. Whenever we get a hunch that there might be something interesting or puzzling going on, we pause for a second or two. Pausing is how we make breathing space and choice. So this is how we always begin. So usually this is our core skill, that when something interesting happens or puzzling, we pause. So something interesting happens and we pause and go like, what was this? In today's episode, however, we are talking about something that might be described as doing the opposite. So here we go from something interesting happening or puzzling, something we do not understand, and then we pause so that we may sort of do something with this interesting thing. So it's not wasted. The point is to not waste good things. But today we're talking about good question. So today we're doing the opposite. Today we start by pausing. And then see if something interesting happens. So this is sort of an idea I had, that often in life we go around waiting for something to happen, waiting for something valuable to enter our life so that we, may change our circumstances. But yes, that's one part of it, that we may wait for something to happen, waiting for things to change. But we can also choose to pause. Even though nothing interesting seemingly is happening. Even when the situation seems sort of locked, like it's not moving, we may pause and together sit down and sort of, are we really sure that nothing interesting is going on? And the idea I got is that instead of just waiting for something interesting to happen and then pause, we pause and see if we can find something happening, something interesting, and from that interesting thing, sort of circle in, like a spiral, circle in, until we reach what we may call a good question. So it's like we pause, alone or together. I think this is actually more effective if we do it together. So we pause and circle in, sort of attune ourselves to what is interesting. We have this back and forth and see if we can sort of get closer and closer to something interesting. And then, right from the beginning, have as our goal to reach a good question. A question that does good. A question that does good. Often we sort of try to look for answers in life, but I'm not really sure that answers are always what are most useful to us. Could be in fast changing times such as these, quickly developing times such as these, that answers are not really what we need, but what we need are good questions. Questions that we can sort of ask ourselves, and we feel that asking the question again and again does good. It's like calibrating our direction. So if we do this now, let's put it into practice straight away. We pause and see if we can circle in closer and closer to what might be a good question. Perhaps something like, maybe something like this. How does a good question feel like? How does a good question feel like? How does a bad question feel like? If we start with the opposite. A bad question is a question that feels like it's only meant to put us down. Sometimes we pose questions to one another with the sole intention of putting the other one down, because we know that the question in itself is not really conducive to anything good. Ill will. But here we're talking about goodwill. To pose questions that's good. How does a good question feel like? A good question feels like it is almost pulling us in the right direction. What should we call that? Like a benevolent pull, maybe? Benevolent pull. And I added a comma to add more things. How does a good question feel like? Like a benevolent pull. What does a good question feel like? It feels new, right? Fresh. New, fresh. New, fresh, comma. Like a benevolent pull, like it's new and fresh. We're circling in here. How does a good question feel like? New, fresh. Like it's making people come together, right? It's not separating us. It's making us sort of want to do it together. It's cohesive. Is that the right word? Socially cohesive. It's bringing together. It's like enthusiastic, right? Enthusiasm. I think that's the right word. Enthusiastic. Enthusiastic. So now we have benevolent pull, new, fresh, enthusiastic. And a good question makes us feel like we're connecting with something deep inside of us as well. So it has this sublime feeling to it. Does sublime sound pretentious? Maybe. It has this sort of inner truth to it. Like remembering something important, something we have always known. Feels like truth. Also a bit pretentious word, truth. In this context it sounds pretentious. How does a good question feel like? It makes us remember. That's nice. Makes us remember. We're not forgetting things, we're remembering. Makes us remember. I think we are off to a good start here. So, how does a good question feel like? Like a benevolent pull, like it's new, fresh, enthusiastic, and it makes us remember. And the point is, we can go on and circle in more and more, because the question is good. It's a good question. So this is how we recognize and identify a question to be good, that it makes us sort of come closer and closer to something creative. It's constructive. It makes us move forward. So it's like we tested this question. Was it good? And it seems like it was good, because these 4 things are nice things. So it would seem that the good question for today's episode, called Good Question, is: how does a good question feel like? It's a nice thought. So I have this sort of thought that maybe this way of doing things, of pausing and sort of circling into a good question, might be a good way of doing things. So that once we're done with, I don't know, maybe not every episode, I don't know, perhaps, not necessarily, but at the end of an episode we have this good question that feels like it is pulling us forward in a benevolent way. It feels new, fresh. It's enthusiastic. It makes people want to come together. And maybe, I feel most importantly, it makes us remember. It makes us remember what is important. Pause. That's it for today. Thank you.